My name is Thomas Zeller. I'm a Carson Fellow at the Rachel Carson Center in Munich, and otherwise I am an Associate Professor of History at the University of Maryland in the United States. The research topic that I'm working on right here is a fairly new one for me, and I'm looking at one of the most important repercussions, one of the most important environmental repercussions of automobility. That is the growth of automobiles over the 20th century. And many of my colleagues in environmental history have argued that the automobile has been one of the most powerful technologies in terms of its environmental impact over the 20th century. So some environmental historians have looked at air pollution, other kinds of issues associated with the widespread use of automobiles. What I'm looking at is car fatalities, the number of people who have been killed while driving. Today's public health officials, people at the World Health Organization, people at the Center for Disease Control in the United States, have begun to talk about driving automobiles as a potentially dangerous and hazardous activity. For people between the ages of 18 and 30, it's one of the most likely causes of death. And there's two ways of looking at that. One way is to say that the old killer diseases of the 19th century, tuberculosis, pneumonia, other kinds of crowd diseases, have diminished in importance. You're much less likely to die from these kind of diseases today in the global north than you were 100 years ago, 150 years ago. But on the other hand, we see the emergence of a new risk, a new public health concern, especially over the last 50, 60 years, and that is automobility. Either being a passenger in an automobile or being hit by an automobile becomes a very likely cause of death. And there literally have been hundreds and millions of people that have been killed while being in traffic over the course of the 20th century. But there hasn't been the kind of opposition, there hasn't been the kind of outcry against these tendencies that you see with other environmental hazards, say air pollution or riverine pollution. So the starting question for me is why? Why have people become used to these staggeringly high numbers? I think the World Health Organization, for one, has realized that this is going to be a huge issue in the so-called global south. Places such as India, places such as China, where more and more people are buying cars, are using cars to get around, where in fact accident figures are higher than anywhere else. And therefore the idea for public health officials at the World Health Organization, but also in India and China, many places in Africa as well, is to learn from the experiences that people in the global north made in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. And I think in that kind of respect, historical research can be quite useful, if not beneficial.